question. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? All right, I think that was good, I guess. So my name is Naomi Jones. I am Waterford High School's class of 2017. And a lot of people have said, you know, the classes have gotten better as they come, which I would like to believe that's true, but my experience is still true today. And a lot of my cohorts and a lot of my peers and a lot of kids that were younger than me that are just now graduating have said the same exact thing that I'm about to tell you right now. So I guess it hasn't changed. I just want to let everybody know, first and foremost, that my love for the Father is, for the Father, my God, is not singular. I love each and every one of you the same. And my love never deteriorates because of situations and things that we go through day to day. Of course, for some that might not be the same, but if we act in love, then we can change in love, and change will come to pass. Period. I used to not claim Waterford as my home city. I refused to say it. Because for all the years I've spent through elementary school, middle school, and high school, I've experienced 5 racist comments, microaggressions, people, and theories for each and every one moment of joy. I might not have had the words to say it then, when I was 5 or when I was 10, but I feel it every day. Like when the little white girls would run up to me during recess and press their arms against mine and say, "Look, I'm almost as dark as you, Nay." Or when they would stick things in my hair because it was like their very own cork board. Or when I was told by my teacher that I'd never be a writer. By the way, that was 5th grade. Or when I was asked to tie down my hair because it was distracting the students. Or when I was labeled as class clown or ruckus creator, when I asked the teachers why they only talked about the good parts of history, or what made the right and wrong, and who determines if the government and justice system even work. Or when I was asked to be the spokesperson for my community's experience again and again and again and again. Or when my guidance counselor told me that every college I wanted to attend was a far reach, and then continued to list 3 separate community vocational training schools as if they were a better fit for my person of my background. Or when I'd walk to school with my brothers and there was always someone I had to pretend I'd know because they'd glare at my 7-year-old body and Dora backpack as if I didn't belong. Or when I was mocked for having doo-doo skin or being a blackie or having dark gums and bright white teeth. By the way, they're still white. Or when bullying became a trend and I was labeled as class bouncer because I simply had enough of being the victim and no one else doing anything to stand up for me. So I decided to show them how I became the example. So no, I don't care how many times these putrid people from which I developed my thick skin decide to apologize. What I want is change. Your microaggressions still make you racist. Your silence is still deafening. Your privilege is screaming. Just because you have a black child or a black friend or a black partner does not mean you understand the pain. Say it! Does not mean you see all of the negligence or hear all of the suffering or see all of racism. Do not mispronounce my name as Naomi, then you will see it. Do not ask me if you can touch my hair, then you will see it. Do not ask me to braid yours, then you will see it. Educate yourself, then you will see it. No, I will not help you explain why Aunt Jemima is a symbol of masked slavery, or why the American flag, or the 85% of the inventions you are so proud to name in history class, come from the minds and hands of Black, Indigenous people. Yes, seeing no color is still erasure. Yes, Indigenous women have been going missing and turning up dead for the past year, and probably more than that. And no, you have not talked about it in school. No, I will not educate you on your systemic racism that has bleached the floors of this beloved country since the first foot on this land was considered conquering it. No, as my mother has said, all lives will matter when maternal mortality will no longer be statistically higher for women of color. When all lives matter. When all lives matter, prison sentences will be based on the crime and not money or status. When all lives matter, all children will have access to the best technology available. When all lives matter, food insecurity will not be normal for some communities and economically seasonal for others. When all lives matter, medical care will be accessible to all people. When all lives matter, a vote to renew provisions of the Voting Rights Act will be a thing of the past. When all lives matter, different interest rates for mortgages will not be based on race. Google which mortgage companies were sued for charging different interest rates for customers of color between 2000 and 2010. You could also Google a larger gap, but that's up to you. When all lives matter, a man who raped a woman behind a dumpster will receive the same prison sentence in alignment with other convicted victims. When all lives matter, different protests for equal rights from varied groups will be a thing of the past. When all lives matter, armed protesters will be met with the same energy as unarmed protesters. When all lives matter, government representatives at the federal, state, and local level can call out unjust behaviors and have the support of their constituents. When all lives matter, the pain of a community will be healed by the love and support from the others of the community or outside the community, because pained community matters. When all lives matter, no one will argue that Black lives matter. They'll just say, yes, they do. How can we support you? My boyfriend is masked at the Coast Guard Academy. I'm reminded of the sacrifices and strategies to make peace officers peaceful and teach evil people who claim they are officers the same. In the same building, 70% of the conservative view still believe George Floyd was an anomaly, a killing and not a murder, a fatality and not a tragedy. The limit on voice, especially that of POC voice, is astronomical. They bring you back to campus just to treat you as if you were in a petri dish and have no plans of sanitization, not a clear process on how you will develop your community back. As they ask about your opinion, they just tell you to stop complaining after you're done. They threaten your lives again and again and refuse to spend time to educate their white cohorts about how their privilege is still a problem. They make insensitive statements about you and your experience and say there is no need for that kind of waste of time. They can turn on and off their allyship when they want. But we are forced to wear oppression like it's invisible chains as we march in these streets. They are stuck behind this cage gate and figure that if they quarantine them, they will be silenced, trying to convince us our goal of being seen and treated as humans and having our lives matter is too high of a mark to reach. This is why I am scared to have a Black baby. I know that what comes from this womb is prejudged as a curse before it kicks. Before it forms inside of their first home, my walls will swallow it in order to protect it first. Because this body that transforms from zygote to fetus, its death date is chosen before its hands develop, before its eyes open. I know that... I know that before they take their first step, they must learn to stand. They will hold my hand with their tiny little brown fingers and squeeze at my neck, learning to climb, to pull, to stand, to raise both hands. They will be more of me than I am. But I'm scared they will learn too quickly what words to be afraid of. I'm scared that I must teach them that not all cops and not all whites and not all systems when they live within the oppression of one. I am scared they will know what the barrel of a gun looks like in sun and at night before they know what fireflies are. I'm scared their hands will plug bullet holes before they can pluck at boogers. I worry that my baby won't know how to say daddy, but will remember to restate their name, where they live, their mother's cell phone, before they ask if they can breathe. I'm scared they will all know all too well how to hold their breath as if to protect their life from someone not thinking or seeing that they are a baby and they are my human and they have not the skin and they have the same skin that I wear, that their skin, their ethnicity, their culture are potential criminals. I'm worried all my womb can produce is targets. The bullseye of their heartbeat ticking to the drum of stop resisting. I fear the day their frustration is misunderstood for threatening behavior. Their run route is mistaken for a criminal escape. Their home is broken into by off-duty cops and the defense is bullet holes. They knock on the wrong door and are mistaken for a forced entry. That their deposit doesn't go through when they thought it did and they write a bad check for $20 too early. That their name is more divine when written twice. I'm worried their name is more divine when written twice in birth and in death. I'm worried that I will live past them. So if I tell you that I'm okay, it's probably a cover-up for the immense anxiety I feel to bring a child into this world and see their end on the 10 o'clock news. The National Memorial of Peace and Justice in Montgomery, Alabama states that from 1877 to 1950, there were at least 4,400 documented racial terror lynchings of black people in the United States. That number has since grown and perhaps tripled, including one a couple of days ago. My black community is four times as likely to be arrested, and for those who say that's because they're criminals, they're 2 times as likely to be exonerated after they've been murdered. When will Americans learn? We do not have to keep memorializing racial genocide after it's already printed in textbooks. We can drift this pattern and cause a revolutionary change, but first, it has to start in the hearts of trillions, those who draw the straw man fallacy in order to negate the point that all lives can't matter until black lives matter. When they try to negate that black men's lives matter, black transsexual lives matter, black women's lives matter, black children's lives matter, black non-binary lives matter, indigenous lives matter, LGBTQIA+ lives matter. That's right. Call in yourself, check your heart, have a conversation that makes you uncomfortable. Don't watch The Help, watch The 13th. Research everything, even the black-owned businesses you are buying from, because some ads have become more of fronts placed in order to get more business in sweatshops in Vietnam, Taiwan, and other parts of China in order to operate. Get your facts right. Make your own opinion about them. Don't use straw man fallacies to cope with the fact that you too are uncomfortable with black, indigenous people of color and their lives mattering. Don't go bald for Black Lives Matter. Donate, sign, register, be there. You must be there. We have a lot more coming, and this is only the beginning. But I hope this crowd never diminishes. Thank you.
Y'all not loud enough for that one. Y'all not loud enough.